Okay, grade 2, we are doing fish this week for science. We did mammals, we talked about their characteristics. We did reptiles, we talked about their characteristics. Now we are doing fish. Now, unfortunately, like I did last time, I showed you an actual mammal on the video, and I showed you some actual reptiles on the video. I do not have fish in my home. To be honest with you, I think that they are slimy and their eyes are weird. I won't get into it. But fish are fish. They are things that exist, and we need to know more about them. So if this was my fish... Oh, now I need to try and draw. Oh, this is going to be a terrible fish. Okay, well. Let's just make this a cute one so that I don't... They don't have eyelashes. I just wanted to do that so that I can feel better about my drawing. They normally have a fin here. It's really... okay, my fishy... Well, it's a fish, okay? I almost said in real life. Fish have different parts to them. Now, mammals do as well, but I didn't feel, and reptiles, but I didn't feel like we needed to be able to label them because we know all of the parts of mammals and reptiles. We know that they have paws, they exist of a tail, a torso. Torso means like their upper body, they have a head, they have ears, those type of things. A fish is not built the same way. Okay, fish have different parts to them. This is obviously the eye of the fish, this is the mouth. But I wanted to ask you, all fish have these two, I almost want to say they're gaps that open and close at the side of a fish's face. What do we call them? If you know, shout it as loudly as you can to the computer, maybe I can hear you. Let me see if I can hear you. I think I heard someone say gills. And that is correct. Fish have gills. Now, what do they use these gills for? Fish use gills to breathe. This is how they take in the water, and in the water there is oxygen. I don't know if you guys knew that. You won't be able to breathe the oxygen from the water because the water would overtake all of the gas that is available in it, and you would drown if you try to breathe it. So please don't try and be a fish when you take a bath tonight. I did not approve this. Okay? Fish have gills which they use to breathe. So they take in the water that has the oxygen, they keep the oxygen behind, and they send it out again. These things you all know are called fins. Oh, if you were in class, I would have us watch Finding Nemo. Oh, that would be such a fun activity for all of us. Man. Okay, whatever. I'm not going to spoil it. Fins. They are called fins. Okay? The fish use these to help them move as well as with their tail. I don't know if you call the tail a fin as well. You kind of do, I guess, because it technically is a fin. But I mean, it is the tail of the fish. And then you have the eye and whatever. Now, the covering on a fish is also called scales, like with a reptile. They are covered in scales. They have these, it's not as hard as a reptile's. Do you remember the video of the reptile when I showed you up close? It looked like little dots. Fishes don't really look that way, but they do still call them scales. I'm going to link a video on the group, and whenever mommy or daddy gets home, they will show you. It's just about some really cool fish and the way that fish live and the different types of fish that we get. But before we move on and before I decide that I'm done with this, I want us to go through the characteristics of fish. So, when we did mammals and reptiles, we talked about the different things. We talked about warm-blooded and cold-blooded, vertebrate, invertebrate, how they give birth, what their skin is covered in, those type of things. So I can tell you now, fish are cold-blooded animals. Cold-blooded, they live in the water, they don't regulate their own temperature, they take on the temperature of the water that they are living in. Which is why, and also you get salt water and fresh water. They cannot just mix. You cannot take a fish from the ocean, put it in some clean water in your house and expect it to live. No, it will die because it needs the salt water. That is what their bodies were made for. So cold-blooded, they do lay eggs. Do you remember in Finding Nemo? Then that's when the small little egg fell and it scratched, and that's why Nemo has the small little fin. Oh, now I really want to watch that movie. Okay. Maybe I'll watch it this afternoon. I love Finding Nemo. Then, they have scales on their outer covering. Scales. Fish have scales on their outer covering. Fish do have a skeleton and, I mean, a spine. They do, because that's... I'm going to write that they are vertebrates here, because I'm almost 210% sure that they are vertebrates, because they do have a skeleton. I think the only animals that are not vertebrates are insects. Ugh, I hate insects. But we'll still get to that. Fish are vertebrates. I'm pretty sure of it because they do have a skeleton and they do have a backbone. But do they have a backbone? Well, yes, because I mean that's where it... This is an interesting question, because don't they have like the one big bone that runs in the middle and then the... I'll have to go read up on that for you. Maybe you can tell me. Are fish vertebrates or are fish invertebrates? I do think that they are vertebrates because they do have that spine, that central backbone. But see, they don't have a back really, if you want to see it that way. Okay, they live underwater. There is no fish on earth that does not live underwater. That is one thing that the rule does not, there's no exception to that rule. There's no fish that lives on land. It just doesn't happen. And yeah, that's about it for fish. Some fish eat other fish, so they can be carnivores, omnivores, herbivores. A shark is a fish. Are dolphins and whales fish? No, they are mammals. Please remember that. Dolphins and whales are mammals because they go up to the surface of the water to go breathe air. Whereas these fish stay under the water because they breathe the oxygen in the water. Okay, but that's about it for fish. The basics of a fish, the parts of its body and the characteristics. I would like to know about that vertebrate thing. I'm going to go read up on it myself. I'm so sorry for yawning. I'm going to go read up on it myself as well. But I want to hear from you guys. Are fish vertebrates, meaning they have a backbone, or are they invertebrates? And then I will link the video to that really interesting and cool fish video for mommy and daddy to show to you. After this, you only have listening and speaking. Grade 2, it is your responsibility. Listen to me carefully. Mommy and daddy are not in school with me. Your parents are not in school with me. It is not their responsibility to come to you and say, oh, listen, we must do the listening and speaking for class. No. You, the child in grade 2, when mom or dad gets home, obviously give them their space for a little while. Let them drink their coffee. Let them have their dinner. Let them unwind and talk to each other for a little while. And then if they ask you about homework, or even if they don't, you go up to them. You say, Mommy or Daddy, please, will you, for 1 minute, I don't want it to be longer than 2 minutes actually, but ask them, for 2 minutes, can you please just hold the phone, and I want to talk to Miss Itzebeth. I need to tell her about my favorite movie. You are going to tell me about your favorite movie. Tell me about the characters in the movie, the plot of the movie, the events of the movie. We talked about all of these words. The plot of the movie, what was it about? The characters of the movie, who was in it, what did they do, the events. What did the characters do in this movie that made it so interesting to watch? Okay, so you are going to tell me about your favorite movie. But it is your responsibility to go up to Mommy or Daddy and tell them, listen, I have a listening and speaking activity that I need to send Miss Itzebeth. It is for assessment. This goes on my report. Please hold the phone on me for no longer than a minute, and then you can all rest and enjoy your night. Okay, grade 2, please, I need you to take this seriously. I need your marks when I ask for them. Otherwise, everything falls behind and it becomes chaos this side. Okay, so I'm saying it again. It is your responsibility. Do not tell me Mommy and Daddy did not tell me. They don't have to tell you. It's like we are in school and I'm sending you home with homework, and then you tell me, but my mom and my dad didn't tell me about the homework. They don't know. You know. I'm telling you. So make sure that Mommy or Daddy takes that video of you talking, or your grandmother or your grandfather or your sister or your brother. Anybody who's close that can hold the phone up. That's it. And then you send it to me. Okay, so tell me about your favorite movie, why it's your favorite movie, and what happens.